Hello, everybody. It's the old man and ranting from the kitchen, and we're back in the kitchen. We just completed our Facebook Live show, and once again, we had nothing but technical problems because I don't know why. We've changed all of our equipment here in the studio. We're running different audio. We've made a lot of advancements. And unfortunately, Facebook just doesn't want us to continue, I guess. And after 39 shows on Facebook Live, it gets a little upsetting because, hey, you guys have been very kind to me. You send me letters. You say, are you going to be on? Are you going to be on Sunday at 10 o'clock? And I say, yes. And we get on, and the thing technically goes into the ash can. So, what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to just simply chat with you a little bit here. Hopefully, that I've got this set up correctly. This is the that I've been on. Oh, there we go. First time that I've been here working with this type of material, the microphone, and this is my first YouTube live show. So if I make a couple of mistakes or if I turn off the audio wrong or something, bear with me, will you? Hey, this week I got a lot of stuff to rant about. First of all, have you ever had this problem? This is a great one. You see this? This is mail that's mailed to my address. And you see that pink line through there? That pink line, it says right up above, if you look real close, not at this address. Well, you could have looked closer if it was turned around, of course. Not at this address. I keep getting them. They haven't been here in 7 years. We've gone through several, unfortunate mail people. Okay. I put a big sign in our little slot down below. So when he opens the door, it says, hey, dummy, this is who gets mail here. Don't put somebody else's mail in my box. I feel sorry for these people because they may never see their mail again. Who knows where it's sitting? Yeah, that is a crucial part, you know. In fact, we had one guy that was so upset. He tried to mail his full-size refrigerator back to the plant for warranty work. Don't try to figure this out, folks. On my Facebook page, I actually have a picture of the refrigerator, which now has gone into the 4th week, and it's still standing next to the mailbox. I was thinking about slamming a stamp on it, but yeah, post office, after $25 billion needed to bail them out, probably wouldn't see the humor in that at all. Okay, well, I see the humor. I want to talk to you a little bit about some exciting things coming up. We will be going live on June 5th with our Keep Alive show. It's a hour long where we just chat about weird things, you know, like Washington state laws and why in the state of Washington we have a group of bubbleheads that are in the bubblehead kingdom called Olympia that are passing through laws and doing things that are killing our economy. But if you've heard some of my podcasts, and please do, we're on iHeartRadio. It's the old man ranting from the kitchen. We've taken a selection of shows and put up there. Take a listen to them. You'll see what I'm talking about when I say bubbleheads, as far as I'm concerned. Now, please understand me. I'm not saying every politician's a bubblehead, and it's not bobble either. I don't want you to get confused between a bubblehead, which is a politician, and a bobblehead, which is a little statue with its heads mounted on a spring and it just bobbles. Want to make sure that that's very clear. From the wonderful world of South Hill of Puyallup, Washington, I would not want this to come back and tarnish our reputation. Of course. Tonight's gripe concession, or is it a law change, or is it just plain stupidity? I'm not 100% sure. A couple of months ago, it was brought up that the Washington State Supreme Court was deciding on the possession law that we have that states that under certain guidelines, if you have drugs on you in your possession or in your vehicle, which is your possession, etc., you could be arrested for it, and that would be a felony offense. Well, ladies and gentlemen, about 2 months ago, the Washington State Supreme Court ruled that this law has got to be changed. They overruled it, and they used the premise of a court case and I'm going to underline that real quickly for you. A court case that involved a lady who bought a pair of jeans. In fact, these were American Eagle jeans, which are very expensive jeans. They're not cheap. And to find them at the Goodwill, wow, what an event. You can imagine. Well, they came to the owner, who was 6 foot tall. Her name is Shannon Bowman. They came to her and she bought them quickly because that was such a good deal. Got them home and discovered, whoops, I'm 6 foot and they're not long enough. So she very, very carefully, with a lot of ingenuity, cut new denim strips and sewed them onto the end of the pants legs so she could wear these pants. Now, she did a beautiful job. She added a couple of inches to the denim, and it looked really nice on the bottom of the legs, of course. And this was the first time that she had actually got these jeans and put them on and wore them. Okay. Now, here's the problem that she didn't know. She didn't notice a tiny, nearly empty plastic baggie of meth in the coin pocket. Yeah, little meth in the coin pocket. Now, unfortunately, Shannon had a drug problem at one time, but she had cleaned up her life. Now, not finding this baggie in the pocket, she was evidently, shall we say, obtained some information from a local police officer of something she, I guess, was doing wrong and was being questioned. Well, naturally, when they question you before they arrest you or whatever, do they ask you as they're patting you down, do you have any sharp objects or whatever's in your pockets? She said no. So they patted her down. Boom. The baggie was found. Okay. Immediately, under the old law, you go to jail. It's as simple as 1, 2, 3. Now, she had stated very clearly that she was a user. She had quit. She had blood pressure problems. Now, if you look into meth and blood pressure problems and heart, you will discover that meth does not work with blood pressure. If you are a person who has a normal blood pressure under control without medication, chances are meth is not going to affect you right away. But after a while, it increases a blood pressure increase. And once you get that stabilized, you'll be okay. But you can't use meth after the stabilization period is done. Now, she cleaned up her life. She turned it around. She got off of drugs. She knew that this serious situation, if she had taken meth again, it would kill her. Well, she said, hey, I got blood pressure. I'm feeling a little faint and dizzy. The officers slapped the cuffs on after hearing this story of, what? What? Now, think about this for a moment. Every time on reality TV, if you see the cop show, used to be on television all the time, or anytime that you see an actual arrest going on, what do? Immediately, what does a person being, checked with do? And after their search, the first thing that always comes out of their pockets is the drugs. And the first statement made, I don't know how they got there. It's not mine. Or if they take and tear up the car and look under the seats and go through the glove box of their car. I don't know how that must have been a friend stuck it in there. It's not mine. Well, this has been going on our law in the state of Washington for decades, okay? And there's probably thousands of criminal convictions dating back many decades that people were hauled into jail on possession charges. Now, our governor decided that after the state Supreme Court overturned this ruling, he said, and I quote, and this is Bubblehead Governor Inslee, the king of the Bubbleheads, said, quote, this measure will reduce the impact of previous drug possessions statute on people of color. So that means that we want to just the people of color, I guess is what he's saying. This will make it a lot better for them and easier for them because we're going to change the law. Well, here's the first point that fires me off. Changing the law is a good idea to a certain degree. Now, the new law states that it is now a misdemeanor and you can be hauled in not once, but twice on misdemeanor charges for drug possession. Okay. And all you have to do is write out a check, pay the man, go through the class, and get the mental health that is required to get you off this stuff. And that's it. I mean, it's over. Now, the governor says this moves the system from responding to the possession of drugs as a felony to focusing it back on behavior health response, which is much more, and I agree with him, appropriate and successful way to address the needs of underlying drug abuse. Now, we've had the war on drugs in this state for years, and we've spent millions and millions of dollars in a mass media campaign to keep kids off of drugs. Of course, we turned around and legalized marijuana as a recreational drug, which has thrown this state into a very large problem. Maybe you've noticed that there's a lot of hiring signs if you live here in Washington. Yeah, there's a lot of stores that are hiring. And they go through quite a few people that go in and say, "Hey, I want to go to work here. I want to make out an app." And of course, with an app comes a drug test. And 9 out of 10 times now that we have the 7-Eleven of drugstores, or I should say pot palaces, popped up all over the state, the recreational users, "Well, I only smoke dope in the morning, or I only do it on the weekends." When they go in for the test, they fail it. The drug test has failed. Therefore, they're not going to be hired. This caused a lot of problems before the pandemic got here. Now, the pandemic has changed everything, okay? But the pot problem still is there with employers. How did they get around it? Unfortunately, because our workload is dependent on good people and it's hard to find them, we kind of bend the rules a little bit. And how we bend them is very, very simple. We say you'll be randomly drug checked. And this is a possibility. If it comes up positive, you're out of here. Okay? So some people probably work 4 or 5 years and never have a random drug check. Who knows? But this is the way to get around this problem. And it had to happen because there's so many people on marijuana. It's ridiculous. They're making marijuana products that are easy to obtain. It goes into the blood system. It's going to show up if you're unemployed going in for a employment in drug test. I mean, there it is. But wait, folks, the state of Washington found that the marijuana taxes, because you tax the growers, you tax the distributors, and you tax the users. Oh, wow. That revenue supplied enough revenue that overshadowed the revenue from alcohol sales. You know, we've heard about this quote, evil alcohol routine. Well, we have replaced it with a bigger evil, but Olympia is excited because now there's more money being flushed through the system. Well, getting back to the case at hand, this situation has some good points. Getting people help that need help, I'm all in favor of. If somebody wants to quit and is really sincere and goes through the process of quitting, we should put a helping hand up and then teach them how they can work with this problem, how mental health can actually help them. Give them the resources, give them the opportunity. A lot of these people probably shouldn't have been jailed. But after going through the jail process, now they're a felon. Well, in many cases, that goes with your record for the rest of your life. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's why it's not fair. I can see that in my mind. What is the problem of this new law is simply this. Do you really think that the drug enforcement people are going to be able to figure out, oh, wait a minute now. you don't own the drugs. Well, we can't book you, but there's drugs and you have possession of. Do you really think that the guys that are hustling these drugs out on the street, huh? Do you really think they haven't already sat down and figured out how to get around this? Do you really think that if they've been arrested or picked up and, hey, wait a minute, you got a pound of hash in the back of the trunk of your car? Well, I guess I do, but it's not mine. Every time you see on television a reality show like Cops or any other reality show, and they stop somebody and search for drugs, the first thing they ask, is this yours? And of course, the person being asked, and 9 out of 10 times has broken the law, looks up and says, oh, I don't know where that came from. What's that? That's not mine. I've only sold drugs for 45 years. That particular bag is not mine. They're going to work this system. So, what have we accomplished? Here's what we accomplished. You got 2 times of just getting a ticket before you get your butt thrown in jail for distributing drugs. And I do not think this is the answer. The other downside is that we, the taxpayers in the different areas in the state of Washington, are going to have to pick up the tab for this particular mental health. They're going to have to hire people, put together clinics, and set up a system, which means manpower and money. And we are taxed to death now. The city of Seattle is a wonderful example of failure. CHOPS took over. Oh, well, no big deal. They burned down half the business. Oh, well, no big deal. They were running dope in and out of there by the carload, I'm sure. Oh, but no big deal. Okay. So we cut the police budget in half because the police officers are being too mean to them. Then we turn around and we set up clinics so that people on drugs, that are most of them, they keep claiming, as far as their reports come out on the media, are homeless. So they set up these clinics so they can check the drug, check your needle. If you don't have a clean needle, make sure you do have one and supply it at our taxpayers' money. And then we find a nice spot for them they can shoot up, and we'll observe them and make sure they don't die from an overdose. Oh, come on. $120 million last year went into that program, and they got just the biggest problem as they had when they started. Now let's compound that, and let's take all these other people that are occasional users or whatever that supposedly, never use drugs, that are caught with drugs or have a history of using and are using drugs. And let's send them through a rehabilitation program that we can pay for with our tax dollars. Friends, you got to start a conversation. Start it at home. Start it in your local churches, in your local communities, because this type of laws don't work. We need laws that when money is applied to it, it makes a difference. And the only way we're going to get any of this done is by telling these law makers in Olympia, the bubbleheads, that, hey, election time's coming and we'll be waving see ya when the votes are tallied. That's the only thing that's going to get their attention. And that's too doggone bad, because there's a lot of good people out there that are serving our communities and helping put together laws that do protect us. But unfortunately, right now, I would say 8 to 10% have taken over running our country, making the minds up of how these laws are going to be put together and handing them to the administrative leadership who, I don't know, maybe it's time for them to also go home and we wave goodbye. Well, that wraps up what the old man ranting from the kitchen wanted to talk about. Appreciate the opportunity to use Facebook for this particular podcast, or I should say, vlogcast. Got to have it proper, you know. So until we meet again, this is, well, the old man ranting from the kitchen who wants to leave you with one last message. If you put positive thinking in your mind and start conversations with others, keep love in your heart with your thoughts, you'll always keep a smiling. So thanks so much for spending a few moments with me. here on YouTube.